Okay, we're recording now. Hey, Gavin, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I am stoked for this. Thank you for having me on.
Me too, man. Me too. Hey, guys. So for everyone who's watching this video, I have Gavin Masumiya here with me. He's a fellow Toastmaster, mindset coach, and co-founder of Flowmasters. And Gavin here is going to be sharing with us about the science of flow state and how flow state can help productivity and creativity in your everyday life. Right, Gavin?
Yes, absolutely. The flow state is something that's very dear to my heart. It's a part of Flow Masters, and it's also going to be a part of your life. Whenever you find yourself really, what they say, like in the zone, where just time goes away, things just feel like it's effortless. And it's usually something that you're really engaged in, right? Sometimes it's hard to come across in those areas of your life where maybe it's not as life-giving. It seems like it's draining, and you have to keep pushing, pushing, pushing. And, with that, it's a very interesting piece around, there's a lot of amazing work that has been done by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, Stephen Kotler, and Jamie Wheel around studying flow state and the flow cycle. So there's actually four parts to a flow cycle that's really beneficial in knowing uh, in
Wow.
general. And the first part of the flow cycle is called struggle. And struggle, you take it how you want, define it how you want to. And the reason why that's a really important piece is because an important flow trigger, there's triggers that help to get us in flow. One's called a skills challenge ratio. And
Okay.
that's where the skill that you have has to rise to the occasion of a challenge. And so it can't like be too difficult to where you might give up, and nor can it be too easy where you might get bored. It has to have that sweet medium where your challenge can meet that occasion. And when you do, you can get into the second part, which is a release. That's where you start to relax. And physiologically, your heart rate will start to slow down more, and you relax into stage 3 of the flow cycle, which is flow state. And flow state's where all the magic is at. It leads up to that part where different neurochemicals, some of you might have heard this before through the works of Stephen Kotler and Jamie Will. I'm just pretty much like regurgitating the power of what they found, is all of the powerful neurochemicals such as anandamide, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin. They all are pumping into your brain. And when all of that happens, parts of your brain called the prefrontal cortex, more specifically, I believe it's the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. You don't need to know that name. But that part of the brain is responsible for a lot of planning, a lot of decision making, a lot of thinking ahead, evaluating. Very important. That's a very important piece to be able to know how to plan ahead. And in the same light, it also can be a stagnating part of our thinking. So when you think about, I wonder what Adolfo is going to think about me if I mess up.
That
I
right
wonder
there.
what I
Yeah,
wonder what these listeners are going to think about me if
exactly.
I say something and didn't land, and I get comments on never have Gavin back on the show. He sucks. All of that is still evaluating.
Yeah.
It's anticipating a worst case scenario, which can be helpful in certain ways. And in other cases too, it can be very stagnating, where complacency, procrastination, where you never fulfill on certain things that you really been wanting to, because you find a way to rationalize it based on fear.
So, Gavin, no,
Yes.
actually, I have a question about that. So you're saying that pretty much people hold back on what they want to do because of what other people might say, or at least in their head, right? They're
Mhm.
already assuming that someone's gonna say something negative about them. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's something that it may not happen for some people that are listening. It certainly has happened and continues to happen in my life, where I'll second guess, and certain times I step over it and I move through it, and other times I don't. You know, and
Yeah. Yeah.
so everyone that I've met personally in my life and professionally that I've had this conversation with, they admit that they've talked themselves in the past and at times and presently from things that they really want to do because they don't have everything figured out, right? And then the mind is very clever. It'll come up with rationalizations to justify where you are.
Okay. So how so let me just get up, okay? Sorry, I was sitting down. But no, based on your experience, right, with Flowstate. And I know you've been studying this for many years, right? You've been working on this for a while. Um, so what's the first step that people have to take in order to get there? I know it's a process, right? It's gonna take a while. And I tried it, by the way, if you guys didn't know. I tried it with Gavin and it's great and it definitely helps. But let me go back to the question, Gavin. So what's the first step that people need to take in order to get to flow state?
Yeah, well, I could talk actually a little bit about the Flowmasters space. And actually,
Okay.
before I do that, however, this could be pertinent to anybody, whether you try out the Flowmasters process or not. And it's a very simple thing that you probably heard before. And I want everyone to just like really just get present to this because it's a very important first point is whatever that endeavor is that you're trying to get to, whatever that thing is, whether it's a new job, whether it's wanting to develop a better relationship with your son, whether it's wanting to end a relationship, a romantic relationship, which I've done multiple times, in coming to that conclusion, whatever those things are, it's getting very clear on the purpose of it.
Okay.
Okay. And so it's not even like, okay, it's like get very, very clear. Like, what is the purpose for me wanting to get here? Why is it that I really want to get there? And there's a reason why people always say the why. And I wanted to slow this down because it is such an important piece. There's certain endeavors that I'm going on. It might be a TMI right now. I'm doing certain things like sexual transmutation. I've been doing that for over 130 days right now. It's the longest I've ever done it before because I want to actually experience physical vitality in that way. Okay. And so this is just one thing. And I have to get very clear on my purpose or else it's easier to just justify releasing, for instance. Just justify doing that, whether it's sexually, whether it's through doing it on your own, right? Trying to keep it as best as PG here. And yet, if I didn't have my purpose, for instance, of I really want to explore what it's like to have physical vitality, to transform an evolutionary part of myself that wants to reproduce as a human, a reproductive place, even if I'm going to be doing it by myself too, and it's not like a reproductive act in itself, just the concept behind it is very evolutionary. It's what gives birth to all of humanity there. And if I can exercise the self-discipline of it, what else could be possible about like me waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning when I said I'm going to do, how that can translate into other areas. That became a purpose for me to even when the feeling comes up and realizing Think and Grow Rich, which is a book by Napoleon Hill that I'm rereading for the second time, understanding that there's not something that necessarily needs to be withheld as much as being transmuted into something else. So I realized that I hold the space for flow masters so much more powerfully when I'm just and it's almost like I'm transmuting that energy into the space, this sexual energy into the space. But underneath it, it's all about that purpose. So really getting clear, I would even take time 20 minutes, set a timer, take time with your hand and a pen and a piece of paper like this and write out why. Why do you want to do it? Why do I want to do that? Why is that important? It's something actually that Dean Graziosi, right? He's that really big serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You probably know him.
Of course. Everybody knows him, right? From the infomercials.
There you go. And he's also big into real estate. He has this thing called the 7 levels of why, which is really great. And this is something that you all can do with a 20-minute timer. And so whatever it is that you want and your desire, say, why do I want that? Allow it to drop in. If you have a meditative practice, then write down that first answer. And it's like, then go, why is that important to whatever you wrote in that first one? Write number 2, and whatever answer comes out, do that again. And for number 3, why is it important for number 2? Why is that important? And you go down for 7 levels and you'll know how powerful it is when you start to get emotional about it. And if you don't get emotional about it or something, then most likely it's not that deep. It's not deep enough. But usually by the 7th level, there's something. Like for me, why do I want to do Flow Masters? Because I like freestyle rapping. Why is it important for me to share freestyling with the world right there? Because it's a way to honestly express yourself. Why is it important for people to be able to honestly express themselves? Because it is the essence of living a more fulfilling life when you can feel like you're in more integrity with what you're doing. Why is it important for people to feel like they can live more integrously with what they're doing? Because I remember so much in my life when I didn't feel like I was integrous. I was doing drugs, I was snoring Xanax, I was in relationships that were no longer serving me, and I was a really shy Asian kid growing up that started a year late, that people thought that I was stupid. And then I started to believe in that. And so that became a vessel for me to want to hold space for people to realize that you are completely beautiful the way that you are. There's nothing that you need to fix, and it's a place that you get to create and grow from. And that's why I do Flow Masters. You know how many times I said that? I've said that so many times, and I still have the same level of passion because I tugged at something that's very deep inside the crevices of my heartstrings, And so when you get to that place where it's personal, because I remember a time when and it moves you and it makes your veins come out of your neck. Maybe it doesn't look like the way that I did, but when you get there, that's gold right there. That's gold. And when you can get to that can help overcome people to want to start making videos, whether in your real estate company or this, that, and the third. When you get so present to that why that I just addressed myself.
Yeah, man. And that's, I still remember with the same passion that you're talking about right now. I remember the first day we met, right? And we started talking, and, you had a speech at the Toastmasters.
Right.
So, yeah, man, I can relate a lot to this. Definitely I'm very far from where I want to be, but thanks to you and Flow Masters and a couple other things that I've been doing behind the scenes, I've been able to, do better, communicate a lot better, and I'm definitely looking to improve as the time goes by.
You improved a lot. You really have improved a lot, right? And that's one thing that I've definitely have noticed. I'm blessed to have seen your journey from the very first time in Toastmasters to now. And you're very good. You have a very good, you're detailed. You have a good attention to detail, which is great. I'm more bigger picture person, so I can see not only bigger picture, but like where I can grow in. And that's something that you're very good at. And it's revealed in your storytelling.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. And Gavin, I do actually have a question about what you were talking about. So you were talking about people writing down their goals, and then for every goal they have to write down a why, right?
Why? 7 levels. Yeah.
Now, so would you say that the why is more important than the goal? And the reason why I'm asking, let's just say in real estate, right? I'm in real estate, and a lot of people want to make a lot of money, right? Oh, they're going to make a lot of money. I want to buy this. I want to buy that. And, at the end of the day, I know it's kind of cliche, but a lot of people say that money doesn't make you happy, because I've heard stories of people having a lot of money and not being happy because all they worry about was about making money, but there wasn't a why behind it. Maybe, in their head, the why was like, oh, I'm broke right now. I want to be rich. Okay, I'm rich. Now what? Right? I don't know if you can expand a little bit more on that.
Yeah, so that's very contingent upon the individual, and that's why this process is so powerful. Because even if it starts, I don't want to take away from like that how important and helpful earning money, and the more money like you have can just reveal more of who you are. People that are going to hoard and they make more money, it could be easier for them to want to just keep it to themselves, where givers, they might want to use it to open up philanthropies, could contribute to just St. Jude's and different kinds of things. So I think money is just a vehicle for people to express more of who we are, and how it's important to come from this place of how am I being right now? Maybe I can't give in the capacity that I want, but in what ways can I actually give using my resourcefulness in a way? Is priming yourself for when the things actually do come for you, that you're already setting yourself in a habit where you come from that place of giving, And so, but money is nothing but a vehicle, right? Of course I want more money so I can impact more, right? so I can expand more chapters to create Flowmasters chapters around the world, so that little boy in Gambia can actually be able to use this as a vehicle for his self-expression and for him to live more integrally and honestly in his life, you know,
Got it.
and who's really in touch with music, which has stood the test of time, right? But it's like, okay, so why is it important for you to have money? The person could say whatever they want, like, oh, I want to be able to buy the things that I want. Great. Why is that important for you to be able to buy the things that you want? Because I want to have the freedom to. Great. Why is it important for you to feel like you need to have freedom in your life? Because Gavin, I was super broke growing up. We lived in the projects at home. My mom was single. I never met my dad. I never had a father figure, and my mom would stress out with 3 different jobs every single day just to make it work. And she was struggling. And she would struggle, and she would work to the bone. She had back problems at the end of the day, because right when she got off, she would kneel down to get the pan to cook and make beans. And I never want that. I never want my mom to ever have to go through that again, and for my future families. Oh, we're getting something right here. Right? We're getting something right there. The pain became a motivating factor. But there's something that's much deeper than the money itself, that comes through it. The money can still be important. It is but a vehicle, though. And so when we can get to that part, you've struck some gold right there. That's the gold right there.
That's the gold. I mean, that's great, Gavin.
The goal behind the goal, the goal behind the goal,
goal.
behind the goal, behind the goal.
And actually, before you mentioned this now, I have my coach, Brian Casella. Shout out to Brian, by the way.
What's up, Brian?
You mentioned the same. You should meet Brian. I'm going to introduce you to Brian one of these days.
Awesome.
He's a great guy.
Awesome.
So he said something along the lines that, if you're a good person, money is going to make you a better person. And if you're a bad person, money is going to make you worse or horrible. So yeah, that's going back to what you're saying. And, I haven't experienced anyone being a horrible person with money yet. And, I mean, not like I want to come across those people, but, I know they're out there somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I don't really attract that vibe. And I hope I'll never will, because, we just don't want to deal with bad people overall, right?
Yeah, I get that. No disrespect to Brian or anybody. I just, having that morality of like, this is a good person, this is a bad person. That's not a way that I like to subscribe. And I know that's not what he intended. I just tend to kind of like, in a way, look at things as, it's just people's habits on how it is. So a person that tends to kind of like look out for themselves only, it'll magnify that. It's likely to magnify that once they come with money, because it's like, oh, they're going to pay more taxes or whatever the implications are. There's an easy way of rationalizing it, because repetition is the language of the brain, and so just the habits that we're going to be having is easily carried over. It's not going to take like one moment. It's like, oh, once I get it, then that's going to happen. If the mechanism is, I always need to get to the next thing, that becomes a mouse wheel in itself too. And so it's just more of like, it's like the behavior. It's more about the behavior than I think of just wanting to quickly label somebody.
So you say it's the behavior and also being able to enjoy the process, right? Is that
being able to, enjoy the process, and also just like sometimes labels can be a very limiting scope of a human, where, if we were to see, like, for instance, this could get a little controversial part, and man, like to say that, this could get a little controversial, but like, so Hitler or Trump, they're just evil people. At the same time, I don't know a lot about Hitler's background. I don't know how he was raised. I don't know if his father was present there, and what the choices and belief structures he decided to make based on it. He could have had some sense of inferiority complex, and there was something there that was unresolved that hasn't behaved the way they do, whether it's Trump or other people. And so I try to come from this place, especially with COVID-19, of this compassion on what had to happen, and not to take away that millions of people were killed as a result of this belief structure that he was able to persuade an entire nation and country to subscribe to. I think of like the mechanism of what that he went through that would have led to the belief structures and therefore the behaviors for why he is, you know? And when I can reverse engineer that, then I can come from a place of like, of a more of a compassionate place on trying to understand the mechanism, which I think helps to get more to the root, as opposed to that's bad. That's bad. It's like, what underneath it might have had to take place for him to be the way that he is.
Mm-hmm.
There's more of coming up with like potential solutions for the issue at hand than just judging. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah.
All right, Gavin. Hey, bro. I really appreciate your time. It's been a great 20 minutes or so. And
that was awesome, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Gavin, do you have anything else you want to say? I know that you're a coach. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit more about exactly how you can help other people, and maybe people that follow me, real estate agents, may want to talk to you about flow masters, the state of flow.
Absolutely.
All that stuff. So just go ahead.
Yeah. I'm growing up very, very shy too. Just communication speaks very dear to my heart. I know that in a realty, a lot of it's a relationship business too. You're building relationships because
Exactly.
It's a humongous investment oftentimes that people are making, whether it's to settle down to eventually build a family, or they're moving from an apartment into a home or something and they're with their family. And so there's something bigger than just the home. It's like a haven. It's a place that people want to build and create their lives from, right? So I just have I know how it's important it is to nurture relationships. And so when it comes to flow masters and in my coaching, it's really about cultivating the relationship that you have with yourself. And it's all about really a deep dive into your psyche, into your desires, into your fears. And flow masters is a great first step in learning how through the emotive power of music, you start to express your truth more. This is what I love. This is what I care about. This is what I'm afraid of. This is what I want to create in my life. And to have a space where you feel like you're not being judged at all for it, it starts to peel back the layers of the onion of these identity structures of being, whether it's Japanese American, Mexican American, middle class, minority, a Democrat, Republican, peeling back the layers to who is Adolfo? What does he really want? Who's Billy? Mary? What does she really want? And it's a very empowering way to build self-awareness and self-esteem disguised as freestyle. So we have it every Fridays. We have it every Fridays from 5 to 6:15 p.m. PST. If you'd like to hear more, I can give a link to the Eventbrite. And it's so donation-based right now because I'm coming from a place of service. So if you're interested, just click the link and come experience it for yourself.
I'm going to be posting the link below. Okay. Gavin, I appreciate your time, brother. How do you say goodbye in Japanese, by the way?
So maybe not goodbye forever. It's jamata. That's see you later.
See you later. Yamata. Later, brother. Take care.
Okay, take care.